Do you have trouble remembering long passwords?
Oh no!
Never have your one key token when you need it? With the new SingPass Mobile app, you just need your phone to log into any government service. Here's how it works. Simply allow the login request. Use your fingerprint or passcode to verify, and you're in. SingPass Mobile is your secure and trusted digital identity that you can use wherever you are. Download the app to get started. We will be adding more features to the app. You will even be able to help your family members with their transactions. SingPass Mobile, your trusted identity anytime, anywhere.
Okay, I hope you managed to see the video and hear what it was saying. So in summary, the key highlight, two things is mainly saying that SingPass helps you to have access to a lot of government digital services like your CPF and various other services. And also it's a trusted identity for you where you can leverage it as a source of identity approval or verification to access various government sites. So if you look at this slide, it kind of summarizes what you would have seen in the video. It says that when you want to log in, you need to prove that you really are who you say you are to ensure that the person who's accessing these government services is truly the person who we claim we are. So it's not like someone else trying to be you and so on. So SingPass is to help you to verify your identity when you log in. And how you do that is when you go to a digital service website, you have to key in your SingPass details. And then once you can successfully log in via SingPass, you have access to these services. So what do I mean by government digital services or government websites? So there are many different sites that you might be familiar with or you might use on a day-to-day basis. For example, ICA site, Skills Future to maybe use some Skills Future credits to learn new things, Health Promotion Board, IRA for tax-related stuff, and CPF to understand your CPF statements and balances, and so on. So these are just some of the examples that have been listed in this slide. And I'll also be sharing later on some of the use case. For example, how can you use SingPass to access some health appointments or view your CPF? So I'll be showing some of that in the upcoming slides as well. So stay tuned to that. So in order to understand SingPass, we kind of need to know what exactly is it made up of. So SingPass is basically like an ID that consists of your username and password. So firstly, you have the SingPass ID. So this might be your IC or something else that is your identification ID. And then we have your password as well. So password that you set, there's certain requirements, for example, alphabets, numbers, and so on. And your password shouldn't be something similar to your ID so that it's more secure and it's easier to ensure that it's not vulnerable. And once you have keyed in your username and password, when you access a government website via SingPass, you will be asked for a second layer of authentication. So this is what we call two-factor authentication, or 2FA in short. So this is the reason why, you might think, okay, why I just already keyed in my ID and password, why do I have to do this second layer? It's basically for added security to really prove your identity. And this can be done via a few different methods. As you can see, it says you can use SingPass Mobile as your second layer of authentication, or you could use a SMS, OTP, or your one key token as well. So this is to really ensure the protection of your personal information. So this is the second step that you would have to go through when you log in via SingPass. And now that we know how SingPass, what it's made of, or how exactly we can use to log in via SingPass, we look at these various different scenarios. You might think, okay, today I haven't even registered for SingPass. How can I go about doing that? Or what happens if I have registered before but I've forgotten my password? Or as I told you, there's a second layer of authentication, and you might choose to receive the second authentication method via SMS PIN. And you might say, okay, I've lost my phone or changed my phone number, but so I can't receive the PIN. How can I reset that? So these are some of the scenarios that we'll be going through, as well as the SingPass mobile app as well. So I'll be running through these various scenarios for you to learn on how you can register. So for those of you who have actually not used the SingPass service at all, you have not registered yet, or you have forgotten your password, etc., this section will be relevant. So you can, pay more attention now, and you can even try to follow the steps if you have not registered. So let's look at this scenario. Uncle Chan is someone who's, he's a Singaporean and he's new to SingPass. He actually wants to use SingPass. He's heard of SingPass maybe through this session. This could be any one of you as well. But he wants to register for the account. So these are the steps. You can see there are 4 steps involved. First step, you can go to the SingPass website. So you go to www.singpass.gov.sg. So just in case any of you might be trying this out, I'll just slow down at this section so that you can follow through. And if you require me to go a bit slower, or you have any questions or any trouble, do raise your hand or ask any questions in the Q&A chat. So the second step, after you've accessed the website, if you see on the left bottom, it says there's a register for SingPass option, as you can see in the red box. So you click on register for SingPass. And when you click on that, the next thing it's going to ask you is to provide some of your personal details so that you can register for SingPass. So this is where you see step number 3. It's asking you to key in your full name, NRIC, date of issue, etc. It's asking you for certain details. And following this, step number 4, it's going to send, the service is going to send you a mail via your post, right? So you receive a PIN mailer sent to your mailing address. So it might take about 5 working days to receive this mail. So when you tear it open, you'll see the PIN that you require to continue the second part of the registration. So once you receive the mailer, you will have to log in for the first time using this mailer that you've received via post. So the step number 5, you see it says login with one-time password on the PIN mailer. So you just go to the same site, and instead of register for SingPass, you will now click login. So when you log in for the first time, it's going to ask you for some contact details. And this is where you put in your mobile number and you verify your mobile number. So when you put in your mobile number, it's going to ask you, it's going to send you an SMS with a one-time PIN, which is what we call OTP. And you key that in to verify that this is really your mobile number and you haven't maybe keyed it wrongly. And then you can create a password. So step number 7, you see that it says create your new SingPass password. So you see in the screenshot below, it's asking for your mobile number and email address as your additional details after the PIN mailer has been received via post. So to kind of summarize, you register for the SingPass service. It takes you up to 5 days to receive that PIN mailer. So for those of you who have not registered for SingPass and trying to follow through, you would be able to do steps 1 to 3 more like right now. But step number 4, it's going to take about 5 days for you to receive the mailer. And then once you receive it, you go through the final verification with the PIN mailer and providing your mobile details. And that's how you create your SingPass account. And I'm sure that some of you who maybe haven't really used SingPass in a long time. It's happened to me before as well, where I've initially, when I first heard about SingPass, I registered, but I hadn't had a need to log in to see my CPF or any other things for a while, and I had forgotten the password that I had set. So let's look at the second scenario. Uncle Chan wants to use the SkillsFuture website, but he forgot his password. So usually it comes to a scenario where you want to use one of the government digital services. For example, it could be CPF, it could be SkillsFuture, or various other services, IRES, and so on. And then when you're trying to log in with SingPass, then you realize, oh, I've forgotten my password. So that's where you don't have to worry, and you just have to come in and click forgot password. So if you look at step number 1, under the login ID, password, and the red login button, you see in a red box, forgot SingPass ID or password. So you can click on forgot password. And this is where in step 2, it's going to ask you for some information to verify so that you can reset your password. Just like any other service, like your email or any other websites that you might be using, you'll be able to reset your password. So step number 3, you see that it has said, okay, you've verified your personal details. It's going to let you to key in your password, your new password, and set it. So you just have to make sure that the password is not something that is similar to your SingPass ID. And as long as the password meets the requirements which I had shared earlier, so it might have to have certain number of alphabets, numbers, and so on, alphanumeric. So this is where you set your password and you confirm it to ensure that you really set what you had intended to set. And there you go, you get to, that will successfully reset your password. So now we're coming to the third scenario. Before I move on, let me just check if there's anyone who has raised their hands or sent any questions in the chat. Okay, I don't see any questions at this point of time, so I'll proceed. So now we have this scenario where you remember your password, but actually you've changed your phone number, or maybe you've lost your phone, and as a result, you need to change the details registered with SingPass. So this scenario number 3 is as such. Uncle Chan lost his mobile phone. He needs to log in to his CPF account to check his balance. He changes his mobile number registered with SingPass. So this is how you can do it. So when you log in with your SingPass account details. It will now take you to step number 2. So step 1 is login. Step number 2 says, it's asking you for that one-time PIN that you would receive via your mobile phone. So this is where you can say that the number, so if you look at the second screenshot under step number 2, you see that they have put in the last 4 digits of your mobile number, and if it doesn't match your mobile number, you can always click on the link that says not your mobile number. So in step number 3, it says your current mobile number that has been registered, which might be something you lost or in your previous number that you've changed now. It's going to show you what your previous number is, and it's asking you for your new mobile number. So you fill it in, you type in your updated or new mobile number into the box and click next. So this is how you do that change of mobile number so that you can proceed. So not only do you need your username and password, as I shared earlier, you also need that second layer, which is your one-time PIN. But I'll also later on share with you an easier way that you can get the second layer of authentication done via SingPass Mobile app as well. So there it is. It's pretty simple, right, to register and in the event that you've forgotten or change your phone number, to kind of get through those challenges that you might face when you're trying to log in. So now is where I'm going to introduce to you SingPass Mobile. So it's still the same service, just that it's easier for you to access. It's something that you can access from your smartphone. You'll be able to access these services. You'll be able to do authentication without having to remember passwords and so on. So if you look at the 3 benefits, it says easy authentication. You can use your fingerprint, Face ID, or a passcode to log in, and you don't have to worry about remembering passwords. And the second benefit is secure transactions. So you can log in securely via a QR code without having to receive a SMS one-time PIN. And thirdly, it's on-the-go access. So when you have your mobile phone with us most of the time, right, wherever we are, we usually have our phones with us. So you'll be able to make transactions or get certain details that we might need via our phone, even when we're overseas or even when we're in Singapore. So I believe most of you may have already used the SingPass service, but perhaps you have not used SingPass mobile app yet. And this is a way that you can find out more about it and understand how it works. I have a video now to share with you a little bit of what the experience will be like when you use the SingPass mobile app. So I'll just click play and you can watch the video.
Let's say you want to log into your CPF account. Click on the QR Login tab. Launch your SingPass mobile app and scan the QR code. Allow if the login request is correct. Use your fingerprint or enter your passcode and you are in. It's easy. Try it now. SingPass Mobile, your trusted identity anytime, anywhere.
Right. So I hope the video helped to kind of give you an idea of what it'll be like when you try to log into a government service, any website. Like in this scenario, they talked about CPF. Instead of having to key in your password, you will receive a QR code that you use your mobile phone, and then you just scan the QR code with your SingPass mobile app, and that will provide the verification of your identity.
Let's say.
So you might be wondering, okay, so what exactly do I need if I want to try this SingPass mobile app out? So these are the things that you would require: a smartphone, firstly, internet connection, you would require your SingPass credentials as well as your the second factor of authentication, or use your fingerprint or Face ID to verify via SingPass. So I will show you, I think there's a question that talks about how can I use my fingerprint. We will show you how that works, at which point you can actually verify your identity with Face ID or fingerprint. So the first step is to set up your SingPass mobile app. Okay, so the first step, if today you don't have SingPass Mobile, is to download the application. So if you have your phones with you and you don't know of this app or you haven't used it before, I encourage you to go to the App Store or the Play Store. You might be using an Android phone or an Apple iOS phone. You can go to the App Store or Play Store to download the SingPass Mobile app. So you have to search for SingPass Mobile from the App Store. So just make sure that it's the correct app. When you see the logo, you'll see the SingPass logo, and you'll see that this application is developed by the Government Technology Agency. So just take note of this when you download so that you ensure that you're downloading the correct app. So if any of you are following and you have trouble finding the app, feel free to raise your hand or ask a question if you're unsure, so that we can guide you along the way. The second step that you would have to go through once you download the app is to complete like a one-time setup. So it will basically ask you to verify your identity by sending you a one-time PIN to your mobile, or you might use your one key token, or you can also use your face or your face verification, for example, to verify your identity here. And then you'll be all set to access your SingPass services. So this is the third step. When you log in, you will look at this screen that you see. There are various different things that you can do. You see at the bottom, which service would you like to log into? You can log into CPF, Health Hub, IRES, My HDB page. And if you scroll down further, you see more services. And then you can also see there are other tabs other than the home page. There's a scan, profile, and inbox page. So let's go through some scenarios on how or when a SingPass mobile app will be useful. So this is a scenario where Uncle Chan wants to check his CPF details on his computer, on his laptop maybe. He needs to use the SingPass mobile app to scan the QR on the login page. So if you recall the video that I showed you just now, shows exactly this. Just so that I can refresh your memory, I'm just going to show the video again to make sure that you recall.
Let's say you want to log into your CPF account. Click on the QR login tab. Launch your SingPass mobile app and scan the QR code. Allow if the login request is correct. Use your fingerprint or enter your passcode and you are in. It's easy. Try it now. SingPass Mobile.
Yep, so that's exactly the scenario that you see over here. It says that this person wants to check the CPF details. So he's going to log in to the SingPass, to the CPF site and use SingPass to log in. So instead of the typical user ID and password option, you check the QR code scanning option. And then it will provide a QR code on your laptop screen. So this is when you take your mobile phone, you look for the SingPass app that you've downloaded, and you launch it, and then you click scan QR code. If you see on the first step at the bottom, you see there's an option for scan. And then step number 2, whatever you see on your screen, you take your phone and you scan the QR code, and then it will say, okay, please verify your identity. This is where you can use your fingerprint, or you could use Face ID, or you could use a 6-digit passcode as well. I hope that is clear. So what this prevents is it's not going to ask you for your user ID or password. It's going to just use your identity via the SingPass mobile app. So you don't have to worry about, oh, what's my password? I've forgotten it. I have to reset it, or I've changed my phone number. I need to change my phone details, etc. You don't have to worry about that. It makes that login process a lot more seamless for you. So what else can we use it for? So this scenario is about medical appointments. I'm sure that this is something that many of you might make an appointment, and often we don't get appointments like the next day or the same week. It might come in a while. So we might forget, okay, when's our medical appointment? We want to do a check. You might need to log into your Health Hub service. So this is where we look at this scenario. It says that Uncle Chan wants to check his medical appointments on his phone. He needs to launch SingPass Mobile app and tap the Health Hub shortcut. So this is now a scenario where you're using SingPass Mobile app on your phone. Perhaps you might be in the bus or you might be outside and you want to do this quick check. So step number 1, we launch the SingPass Mobile app and we click on the service. So if you look at the bottom, you see services like CPF, IRAS, HDB, and so on. And as I mentioned earlier, you can scroll down to see more services. You click on Health Hub. Once you launch this, you go to step number 2. It's going to ask you to verify your identity. So in the sense that you don't have to be worried that, oh, what if someone takes my phone and then they click on SingPass and then they click on this service? Will they be able to access my information? Not without verifying your identity. So the step 2 is where you identify yourself with your Face ID or your fingerprint and so on. And do take note that these capabilities like fingerprints and Face ID, these are only available for some smartphones which have the fingerprint scanner. So some phones will have a scanner on the front at the home button. Sometimes it's at the back or at the side. So if your smartphone is not very new, you may or may not be able to use fingerprint scanning or Face ID, but you still have a 6-digit passcode that you can use. So after you verify your identity in step 2, you look at the screenshot on the right. You've successfully logged in to the government Health Hub service via your own mobile phone, so you don't have to look for a laptop or anything. While you're out and about, you can just easily access it, and then you'll be able to look at your appointment schedule from that service. Do we have any questions so far? Okay. I'll continue. Oh, I think someone has raised their hand. Brenda, do you have any question?
Hi, Brenda. Yes, I've unmuted you. You can share your questions. Do you have any?
Oh, I think she has. Brenda, so if you have a question, you can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can post the question in the Q&A chat. Whichever you prefer to ask via the channel, you can go ahead and ask.
And I see another hand as well, Henrietta. If you have any question, you feel free to share your question with us right now. We can help you if you have any queries. Alternatively, you can share your question in the Q&A box as well.
Yep. So I think there are some questions in the Q&A box, and the co-host will help to answer it. Meanwhile, I'll just continue to go ahead. If anyone has any more questions that you want to ask via the unmuting yourself, you can go ahead as well. Okay, so now what else can you do with your SingPass mobile app? So I've covered a few scenarios, right? From checking perhaps your CPF service, you want to look at your statements, or you might want to check your medical appointment via Health Hub, or you might want to use it to log in to SingPass on your desktop. These are some of the scenarios we've gone through. How about if you want to check certain things like passport expiry date, or you just want to understand some of your, when's your passport expiring, some of your personal information, you want to have access to that. So let's look at this scenario. Uncle Chan wants to check his passport expiry date. He needs to launch SingPass mobile app and tap on the profile tab. So where is the profile tab? So we've gone through actually a few tabs. If you look at the screenshot under step number 1, you see a home tab. You also see a scan tab. We've gone through both of those just now. The home is where you see the screenshot as it is right now. If you click on scan, it will have like a camera looking display for you to scan a QR code, for you to verify your identity on a website perhaps. And then the third tab you see is profile. So this is for you to access some personal information. When you click on it, as you see in step number 2, it's going to ask you to verify your identity with fingerprint or Face ID. So to kind of address some of the questions that I saw briefly in the chat, in order for you to use fingerprint or Face ID, it's something that you would have to set up in your phone as well. So you have your, for your smartphone that has fingerprints or Face ID enabled, or they have the capability, you usually have to register your face profile as well as your fingerprints so that you can use fingerprints or Face ID to log into apps. For example, some mobile banking apps, or for example, SingPass app allows you to leverage that feature like fingerprint login to log into this and verify your identity. So you first have to go to your mobile settings and then go to like fingerprint, set up your fingerprint and register that. So step number 2, when you click on profile, it is asking you to verify your identity. And as you can see on the screenshot on the right, you now have access to your profile. It tells you, okay, this pink IC, your NRIC number, it's masked unless you click on the view icon. Gives you your name, and then at the bottom you see your passport details. So passport number, when it's expiring, and then your date of birth. So this is a way for you to check, okay, my passport is valid, because you know that when you travel, you need to ensure certain amount of validity of your passport. So if it's expiring soon, then you can take steps to do that passport renewal process. So this is yet another use for you to anytime or anywhere we have this doubt, okay, I need to check my passport validity, you can just log in, look at your info. So not just your passport information, but if you continue to scroll down on that website, on that display that you see under profile, you see certain details like your income and CPF summary, your property, lease, and so on. For example, HDB property, vehicle property, etc. So you can customize what kind of information you want to display over here. So at this point in time, you might be thinking, oh, is my details safe? How come it's so much information that I'm able to see? So this is actually a service that is enabled for your convenience, where you don't have to worry about the safety of your data, because the data firstly is only displayed once you have verified your identity. And secondly, if let's say you log in and you have not been active on the application for a while, it will automatically log you out. So this prevents people from, you know, if they manage to access your phone, it doesn't mean that they directly have access to your personal data or any of the services that you can access. So we call this like the login session. It will automatically log you out and ask you to re-authenticate yourself at a point of time where you've been inactive on the application. So your data will be safe and you don't have to worry about this. Okay, so I think this is one of the last few scenarios that we'll be covering. And at the end, if you have any questions, you can ask away at the end, or even unmute yourself and talk at the end. So far we've covered several different users. Login using SingPass Mobile into a website that you're looking at or trying to access from your PC or laptop. Being able to access various services from your phone wherever you are, as long as you have internet connection, right? And you're able to verify your identity, so the services like CPF and so on. Checking your medical appointments, checking your passport information. Those are some of the things that we have gone through so far. This is yet another use of your SingPass Mobile. So let's imagine that today you're actually going to a polyclinic for the first time, and you need to register yourself, right? Usually when you go to any clinic for the first time, they'll ask you to register your personal details. So sometimes it might entail like you have to fill up some form, put in all your IC and everything. But instead, a faster way for you to register is by using the SingPass mobile app. So for this, this polyclinic might have the capability or support you to use SingPass to register yourself. So how you can go about is you go to step number 1. You see that we are supposed to click on the scan button. So what exactly are we scanning? In the earlier scenario, we scanned a QR code that we saw on our laptop to log into a website. In this scenario, we are going to be scanning a QR code that is displayed on the counter of the polyclinic. So you can ask the polyclinic staff, may I register myself via SingPass so that I don't have to fill up all these details and I can have a faster registration. Then you can ask them, where is the QR code that you need to scan? So they will point you to it, and you see step number 2, it says scan QR code at the counter. So that's what you have to lift your phone and scan the QR code. Third step, just like every other time, you have to still verify that it's really you. So you'll be verifying your identity with your fingerprint, Face ID, or your passcode. So successful registration is done. So just take note that this is probably something that they are rolling out at clinics and so on. So this registration via SingPass Mobile is available only at Punggol Polyclinic for first-time patients. So over time, perhaps this might be the testing ground for this capability, and over time they'll be rolling this out to other clinics as well and health facilities. So this is something that you can look forward to, that when you visit a polyclinic for the first time and you want to go through faster registration, if this happens to be Punggol Clinic at this point of time, go ahead and try this out if it's your first time registering at the clinic. So yeah, 1, 2, 3 steps, and then you're easily able to get access to your information, which they will require for you to register at this clinic. Any questions about this? Okay, I don't think there's any questions, but I hope that these are some of the ways that you find that, next time if you want to use the service, you will be able to use the SingPass app and make it a lot easier for you to do that login process. So in summary, why should you use the SingPass Mobile? It's something that I myself am using today in my phone. It's something that actually I just started using about 6 months ago. Before that, I was just using my username and password. And as I shared earlier, I've also been in a scenario where I forgot my password and I had to go and reset it, or I changed my phone number and I had to change the details. So what's a good reason to use it is because it's really very convenient. All you need is your phone, you need to have access to the internet, and you have to have the application downloaded, and it makes the login process and access of government services on the go seamless. And also, it's very simple. It's easy, as I showed you in the video as well. Just tap on the phone screen. You don't have to type out like all these government website URLs. You don't have to remember your password, and then it tells you, oh, password is wrong, please verify, and so on. Sometimes if you're using your phone to key in like on a government website as well, you might accidentally mistype your password and all that. So it also just makes lesser errors and corrections that you need to make. And the third big reason is that it's secure. So even if you lose your phone, or you might think that, oh, I've SingPass Mobile in my phone, can people access my data? But remember that it's always going to require verification. So you don't have to worry about your personal data being available in your phone, because it will only be available to you, and your identity would be verified before any information is shown. Also, if you lose your phone, you maybe gave it away, you sold it, you forgot to delete the app, you can unlink your SingPass or deactivate it, your SingPass Mobile from your phone via the website singpass.gov.sg, or you can once you set it up in a new device, you can unlink it from your old or lost device. So convenience, simplicity, that makes things easier for you, and security are just the 3 key reasons why you should look at exploring the SingPass Mobile app. So you might be thinking, okay, this is a good introduction. I've learned some of the reasons why or how I can use the SingPass app. And maybe you have further questions. There are a few different channels in which you can get help, additional help. So firstly, you might have some frequently asked questions that are a lot of people in similar situations as you may have already asked, and they've listed all these frequently asked questions into a Q&A in this site, go.gov.sg/singpass-Q&A. So this is where you can access all the frequently asked questions, and often you'll see, hey, I had this question too and it's answered already. So you don't have to, that's the first I would recommend that you look at the Q&A. And then you can also look at instructional guides. Maybe after this session, maybe you just registered for SingPass and you received the PIN and you've forgotten what are the next steps. As Ernest mentioned earlier, this video would be available for you to rewatch and try along with at a later point of time on YouTube and so on. At the same time, another source of information would be instructional guide, which is like a step-by-step guide available. So if you go to this website, go.gov.sg/singpass-guides, you'd also have some instructional guides on the steps that you need to take to maybe set it up, register, and use the SingPass. So if both of these methods don't work for you, or perhaps you prefer to talk to someone on the phone and get help, there's also a phone number as well as an email address that you can reach out to get some assistance for yourself in terms of using SingPass. So this is the phone number. If you'd like to take it down, you can go ahead and do so. And the email address is also support@singpass.gov.sg. And of course, you can also visit SingPass counters, which is, I mean, at this point in time will be more difficult because of the situation. But you can definitely still leverage the online guides, the frequently asked questions site, and even call in or email in for any of your questions. So I think I've shown some videos just now, but there are some, if you would like to access these videos, they're actually available on YouTube. I've linked them in the slide deck, but you can also scan the QR code to watch the video at any point of time. Even later on when you are rewatching this webinar, you can scan the QR code to launch the video in your phone and you can watch it again. So I thank you all for your attention and for your questions throughout the session, and I hope you've learned something new. And I hope that you benefit from using the SingPass app.